Hey guys, happy National Mutt Day.
It is National Mutt Day today, is it not?
And you and I are both mutts.
Oh,
I'm a much bigger mutt than you,
You
though.
are a much bigger mutt than me. Much bigger mutt.
They found the face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake roll. Who did he see when he heard how his
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Lager Room. It is Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me as always is Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey guys, celebrating the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party today. Isn't that exciting?
That is very exciting.
No, it's not.
It's not
1773, 237 years ago. No, I did not do that math in my head. I've got my notes over here. Yeah, it's what's great is about that is they always talk about how the revolution started, and that was one of the beginnings of it. But Rhode Island has its own history, as I think Rhode Island claims to have drawn first blood against the British in the Revolution.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was. They went out to take over some boat. I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, it's
But
gone.
But you know what? I mean, it's the Tea Party, so it's tea. It has a little to do with beer, because you can,
Well, and I was drinking that tea beer last
That's true, you were.
last
That's
time.
true.
I should have drank it this time.
That's true. So we have a guest with us.
Maybe he knows the name of the boat.
Our guest drinker might know the name of the boat. Let's bring him in with us. Welcome to the show, Sean Lopolito from Lops Brewing in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. How's it going, Sean?
It's going very well. Good evening, guys.
Great. You know the name of the boat?
No, I
Put you on the spot.
I was not able to Google that fast.
I'm trying to remember it. It may come to me sometime in the show.
At some point you will, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've been schooled in a lot of stuff, and I forget so much of it.
Oh, jeez.
So,
All right, well, so how is everybody on this fine evening getting ready for all the snow?
So
Don't
doing
all
well.
answer once.
Doing well. We are open for business. My assistant brewer Alec is in charge of the tasting room now, and we're just trying to, get some beers out to the customers in advance of tomorrow's snowstorm, because I think it's really a requirement that if we have a blizzard, we have a shutdown. In Rhode Island, we have a pause to the pandemic. You gotta do some daytime drinking.
Absolutely.
or as you put it, plan accordingly. I read
Plan
the tweet.
accordingly.
I saw the tweet.
We might have an answer to the boat question. We might. Somebody says hello, boys,
Oh, hey, Augie.
and he said, "What boat?"
Carton boat beer. Yes, that boat.
And he says he knows boats. So.
He does know boats.
And of course, guess who has the answer for us?
Would that be our number one fan?
That would be our number one fan. Yeah, Brian says the HMS Gaspee.
Yes.
And a
Open bracket.
Bracket. So that's part of the name of the boat. But
Which gets celebrated each year by a nice burning of the Gaspee in Warwick, Rhode Island.
there you go. There you go. Well, thanks, Augie and Brian, for that input. And here we go. Yeah, it's a Wikipedia bracket. That's what Brian said. He copied and pasted. He opted not to type it out. So
Go play with your doorway phone, the camera. Anyway, can we open our beers, John?
why don't we open our beers? Let's go. Why don't you open your beer first? What are you drinking on this fine evening?
Well, since we've got Sean on the show, I had to drink a Lops beer,
Very nice.
and we're going with the marshmallow stout, and I'm going to drink it out of the Rhode Island Brewers Guild glass. I'm going to show the glass before I pour, because if I pour this in here, this is all going to kind of disappear on us.
Pretty much, yeah.
You won't. I know it's white, but it's still. I don't know that you'll see it against the stout.
Well,
But I really wish I'd had time today to get down and pick up some Toy Soldier, though.
there you go. So I thought you were going to say you really wish you had time today to pour one in the glass to see if it actually showed the white first.
Actually, it does. Look at that.
Yeah,
That's nice.
there you go.
Yeah, I wish I had the time to do that. So Toy Soldier, it just came out, correct?
So it just came out. That's our winter spiced ale. As I usually say, it has all the spices: ginger, nutmeg, allspice, cloves, missing one. There's another one in there, and then a lot of molasses as well in the boil.
Wow.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I gotta get there.
Yeah, you got to get there.
So the next thing I send you could be stolen.
There you go. Well, we don't know that it's stolen yet. It's only been a week, you know. So, but and you sent it by that right way. The
correct way. That's not breaking the
way,
law
whatsoever. Not at
No.
all. No.
Not at all.
Absolutely. So anyway, what are you drinking, Sean?
So be drinking to Newport. It's our New England IPA, and this is the original one that we brewed. This was part of our launch, and we've brewed it consistently since then. We were able to put it into 4-packs thanks to our friends at Buttonwoods. It's a 6% easy drinking New England, dry hopped with Zaka. And unfortunately, those 2 minutes that I was in the waiting room, I got a little excited, so I've already cracked it. So I will pour it out.
There you go.
Finish up the pour.
Now, is that the most popular beer at the brewery?
So usually such as probably with most breweries, whatever New England IPA that we have in rotation is the most popular one. On tap right now we have Watch Hill, which is a little more robust New England at 6.5%, and another one, Harbor View, at 6.7%, and those will move faster than the other beers, which is pretty common.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I will pour my beer. I am unfortunately not able to get a hold of any Lops Brewing, otherwise I would have been drinking.
We tried.
So I'm gonna source.
Big surprise.
Local brewery right here. It's about 15-minute drive away from me. Side roads, so it's close by.
Sean, and just about, I think, with the exception of maybe 2 shows, or was it only 1 show? John has always drank a source.
I think it's 2. I think it was 2 shows.
I think it's 2.
This is Ultra El Dorado.
Ease of acquisition is key.
This is true. This is very true. It's Ultra El Dorado. It's an 8% double New England. So I'm just going to pour it here. I got a Liz pour going on here. So.
I've introduced him to the Rhode Island parlance up.
There we go. Oh, it's got a nice head on it. So.
Yeah.
And that was not my doing.
You should be proud of that.
Liz would be proud of the beers. Yeah. This is of the pour. So I'm going to let that go for a minute. How's your marshmallow stout there?
Oh, I love the stout. It's so the marshmallow flavor is it lactose that you have in there to get the marshmallow flavor and vanilla?
It is lactose and then vanilla. So we do vanilla in the boil, and then some additional vanilla about halfway through fermentation to let it finish up before moving it to the bright, and then carving and canning.
I love that the lactose is restrained on it. Sometimes you get those beers with lactose where you've got that almost like grainy mouthfeel afterwards, and they went a little overboard with it.
It is a tough balance, especially with the stouts and the kind of the pastry stout subdivision of that, trying to balance the flavors that you want to shine through without it being over the top. Some of them that will be over the top. We do a peanut butter and jelly porter that's over the top. Some of the other ones we want.
I love that one.
Some of the other ones we want it to be a little bit more subtle.
Gotcha. Well, I can't wait to try it. And little birdie told me that I'll be getting one soon, but
it should be at your door soon.
Now,
what I do want to mention is, I brought up this logo a few times.
Before you get there, though.
Before you get there,
how's the Newport? I know it's.
So the Newport tastes like it always does. Very pleased with it.
Gotcha. Any secrets to that brew, or it's just a solid something you do all the time?
Yeah, it's something that we do all the time, and we've actually, we've changed it a few times based on kind of customer feedback. but we've always wanted to try to keep it right around 6% to balance off a lot of the other beers that we do, which are heavier alcohol content.
Right.
So, in always trying to, what I refer to manage the board, to make sure that we've got, balance from a ale and lager standpoint, also balance from an ABV, so that not everything is 7+%. I want to make sure that people are enjoying themselves, but also can get home
And function a little bit after they
Yeah.
enjoy themselves. Absolutely.
You managed to get a sip in there, John.
I did get a sip in there. It's, hey, you know what? It's Ultra El Dorado. It's 8%. It's a double New England. Getting stone fruit, a little bit of watermelon. It's tasty. It's a Source New England IPA. It's solid. Yeah.
El Dorado always works.
All right. So
Now that we all took it.
Well, yes.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
There you go. All right, so continue what you were talking about, Mr. Samurai.
Yes, because we were going into this glass here, and I earned this glass and the hat that I was fiddling around with earlier before we came on the air, and a collaboration beer by going through the Rhode Island Beer Passport.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to bring it up in this show because I got my first stamp at Lops Brewing.
Okay.
So that's where the journey began, and it's a really neat marketing tool. And so, Sean, I wanted you to talk about that a little bit. Not just that tool, but other tools that you've used in the past, like your tweet about day drinking, and all social media, all these marketing tools. This one is in collaboration with the other brewers in Rhode Island, and then of course you have your own social media that you do yourself. What do you find is drives more people to the brewery?
Yeah, so let me touch on the Brewery Passport first, and then get into a little bit more what we specifically do at Lops. So the Rhode Island Brewery Passport started out in printed form, where you would physically bring it into each of the breweries, you'd present it. Each of the breweries had their own unique stamp, and at certain checkpoints you'd get something. So I think it's at 7 you'd get a glass, at 13 or 14 you get a hat, and then when you finish the passport, you would get whatever the passport brew was. What we found was that, as a new brewery in 2019, that was really pivotal to bringing people from around the state. Rhode Islanders historically don't travel that well, but if you give them a reason such as beer, that does help to push them along to way up in Woonsocket. So when we first started, the passport was key. What we're also able to do is leverage some of the breweries around us. A lot of people want to hit a few breweries in an afternoon. So Ravenous, which when we opened was also in Woonsocket, that was a popular stop to hit Ravenous and then Lops. Now a lot of people do the northern Rhode Island breweries. So they go to Bravo, to Lops, still to Ravenous, and previously to Providence Brewing before they closed in advance of moving to a new location earlier in the month. What the Rhode Island Brewers Guild has done is set up that previously printed passport into a online app.
This one right here.
And it's
just a white screen. So.
Yeah, it's not showing anything because I'm not at a brewery.
So in the App Store, it's just Rhode Island Brewery Passport, real easy. It has all the breweries on there. Instead of getting a stamp, you check in at the brewery, and the distribution of the various checkpoints are going to be centrally managed, which is a little easier on individual breweries, not having to make sure we have the glass, the app, or the beer. What it also will do is allow each of the individual breweries to cater their page to, whether it be a beer listing, events, certain deals. Unfortunately, the launch of the passport really coincided with the shutdown. So this year, there really hasn't been a huge push from the guild or the individual breweries on the Passport. It's certainly out there, seeing people download it. But when the regulations ease up, when we're better able to move around safely, I think both from an individual brewer and the guild standpoint, they'll be pushing the app, which is something that Massachusetts, Vermont, other states have been doing successfully over the last few years.
Yeah, I've got the breweries up now. One of the neat functions on this, because I'm playing around with it as you speak, the events page, and I see on Christmas you've got a books and beers club going, and a home brewers club on January 6th.
So if we're able to, I think those will probably be moved given the limitations on the number of people who can have in. But that's a good segue into kind of what we've been doing over the last 6 to 8 months in trying to get people into the brewery in a safe manner, is really focus on kind of 4 items. The first one is beer releases, trying to increase the number of beers that are being released, trying to put a little more focus on beer release as event, pairing it with either a food truck or something else to try to draw some interest with it.
Nice. Yeah.
The second one is food trucks. Food trucks is the number one driver from our standpoint in terms of things that will increase sales. The competition to get the preferred food trucks is incredible.
I can imagine.
You have to really plan out month, 2 months in advance to get some of the trucks. You have to make sure that you're doing everything to bring people in that day. So coinciding a beer release with the food truck is important because you want those trucks to be coming back. Getting the trucks to Woonsocket is one hurdle. Keeping them there with a good turnout is the second hurdle.
Who have you had recently? You've had the same truck for a little while.
So Super Duper is a local.
That's it.
Is a local truck that we have a good relationship with, and they come quite often. Other trucks that we've had a lot of success with, the Burgundian Waffles, who's used by a lot of the breweries. That's a great draw.
And they do a lot of collabs with the breweries.
They do, yeah. And we have a wood fire pizza guy who's been coming. Came every other Saturday through the fall. That was fantastic. He shows up, lights the truck, and he's moving 40 or 50 pizzas in an afternoon, and it's great for us. It's great for him.
Sure.
The other one that we've had recently, Farm to Sandwich. They have beautiful new truck.
Farm to Sandwich.
Farm to Sandwich.
All right.
Yeah, they've been making the brewery circuit, I've noticed.
Yeah, and that's the goal with them is, in bringing the truck, you want to have a food option for the customers. You'd want to have a food truck that has a following so that they're bringing in some people who maybe haven't been to the brewery before, which is very helpful. And it provides a nice collaboration if it's successful.
Sure.
We've had certainly some days where we've had a new food truck come and it's been a bust. And, whether it be the weather or just some nights don't work out, and you gotta try to balance that. But the food trucks understand that too.
Sure. Oh yeah, I mean, if a food truck shows up and it's pouring out, I mean,
yeah,
they're going to get it. At least you'd hope they would. Food trucks would be interesting. Would be an interesting addition to Jersey breweries, wouldn't they?
Well, there are some Jersey breweries that skirt the law. But they do it legally. In New Jersey, there's a very strong restaurant lobby, and having food served at the brewery is a big no-no at the moment.
Because you can sit there all day for 8 or 9 hours while the bar is open and just drink to your heart's content without eating anything. That's okay.
It's
brilliant. As long as you don't eat anything.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. So, we were talking about something before we came on, and I wanted to follow up with you on it because with this storm coming, and then John doesn't even know I'm going to ask this question. You know,
Uh-oh.
you usually clear everything with him first, but you actually started to touch on it. Power outage. How do you
Mhm.
deal with a power outage? What steps do you take? Do you have a generator? What happened? Can't
No,
have power a brewery.
I guess it depends. So in the summertime, the power outage, you're all about how do I keep the beer cold, and how long is the walk-in cooler going to last at a certain temperature before you start to get a little worried, and which beer is okay when it starts to get warm, which ones probably are not. So for tomorrow, the worry is more on the tanks that are in varying degrees of fermentation, what's their temperatures at, and if the power is cut, it's going to start getting real cold in my basement brewery real fast. So what can I do to keep the tanks warm if they need to be warm? And it's really kind of an old-fashioned blanket and space heater setup. So space heaters that's not plugged in. So it's a situation where we can do 12 to 24 hours, no problem, and then start to get a little worried about what do we have to do to keep the beer okay and okay for whatever the next stage it has to get to.
Right.
That's a lot of calls to National Grid, and it's a lot of crossing your fingers. Unfortunately, a generator, while on the list of things to purchase, is unfortunately under a lot of other items to purchase
that are much more important at that point.
Well, I'll offer assistance here if it gets to the point where some of the beer that's finished sounds like it's going to go. You know where I'm going with this. Just tweet it out. We'll show up. We'll help you out.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say you're going to bring a blanket over and help them cover the tanks.
Free beer moves. Free beer moves fast.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, there's no problem there with that. Absolutely not. Oh, geez. Well, that's definitely something to think about. I mean, it's more or less probably one of the last things on your mind until it becomes a possibility. And
it's looming, right?
What am I going to do here? So yeah, but I mean, obviously, best case scenario would be having a generator, because whether it's summer or winter, at that point you're covered. But yeah, hopefully, if there are any power outages, they're very short-lived, and everything's fine. So, good luck up there. Down here it's weird. Not that this has anything to do with beer, but obviously talking about winter and the storm that's coming up. It has been snowing here for a few hours, but it really isn't covering much. However, I did hear that somebody I'm 4 blocks from the ocean, and I heard somebody about a mile in has an inch and a half on their grass, but there's nothing covered here. So it's just weird the way the climate changes a mile in from the beach. It's crazy. But you go even further in than that, and north of here, they're expecting. I mean, we're probably getting 3 to 6 inches here.
Yeah, they're getting what, 2 feet?
They're getting 2 feet, about an hour north of us, in New Jersey, and not even even a half an hour. They're getting a foot and a half.
Well, Rhode Island has like these temperature zones. You've got north of Lincoln, right? Pretty much, where you guys are gonna always get slammed with stuff up there, right? I'm outside Pawtucket. I'm in Pawtucket, outside Providence. Always the warmest part of the state. It's like Providence gives off like mega heat. Apparently,
is that because you're there, Dave?
Yeah, it's because I'm so warm. I'm such a warm. and then you get the shore, which has its own weather, right? You get down there, so
Sure.
Yeah, it's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said. Hopefully, this is a quick thing. Maybe it doesn't live up to its potential. It's always nice when these huge, crazy, devastating nor'easters that they're predicting, kind of fall short of their potential. But is what it is.
Well, my 7.8% is gone.
Your 7.8% is gone.
See this? It's empty.
Oh my God!
You know what that means? It means it's time to move on to industry news.
Well, we are in industry news. That's exactly right. I came across an article the other day. I don't know if either of you have heard it. There's a brewery in Chicago, Bungalow. It's actually Bungalow by Middlebrow. It was in.
Please tell me the owner's name is Bill. Please.
The owner's name is Pete Turney's.
Bungalow Pete does not have the same ring now.
Anyway, they are brewing a 2% IPA. Silence on the other end. Yes. The title of the article was actually in Food and Drink. It says it's time to consider the 2% beer. 2020 has had many of us drinking more, so they're talking about all the day drinking that's been going on. Instead of slamming 8% double New Englands all day long, they actually decided to brew a 2% IPA. What do you what's your take on that? That's where I'm going. I'm not going to read the article. I'm going to actually. Will anybody hearing this or listening to this after this podcast, after this and the sports podcast later are over, I'll post this article on the Facebook page. But what's your take on that 2% IPA? What do you think? So,
I mean, I'd certainly try it. Certainly bring it on.
Would you brew it?
So the things that come to mind is even brewing a 2% IPA, it really doesn't lower your material costs that much. I mean, the costs are in the hops and in the yeast, and that's what is staying the same. You're really just cutting your malt bill for it.
Sure, and malt is the the cheapest part. Well, other than the water, is the cheapest part of the brew. So
right, yeah. and so I think in general, the expectations around the consumer market is APV often drives price.
Right.
So somebody has an 8% double IPA, $18 4-pack is tolerable. If somebody's selling a 5% or 4.5% session IPA, then they don't want to pay $18. 16, at least from my standpoint, 15, 16 for the 4-pack is really where that price point is. And then you start to look at it as, okay, if I'm, selling essentially a table IPA, what's the number one, what's the market for it, and what's the price point for it? Because I can't go that low on it because the cost to make it really hasn't changed
all that much. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Table IPA, I like that.
Table IPA.
Sean just coined a term.
Table IPA. There you go. Well,
we have certainly been looking at doing session IPA for 2021. 2% wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking more. I was thinking more around 4%.
Yeah, well, four seems to be the number.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all-time session IPA, I believe, is 4.2%. But in any event, I think yours is too, Dave, isn't it?
It's technically not an IPA now, is it?
This is true. It's a session beer for double IPA drinkers. Is what.
So when Augie Carton chimed in about a boat, we were talking about boat beer. We're talking about that now. It's a 4.2% hoppy ale.
It tastes like you're drinking a double IPA. It's 4.2%. Anyway, I do want to renege on what I said. They were the beginning of the article. I just glanced through it as I was pulling it up here. They did mention what would it be like to have a 2% IPA. That's not what this guy brewed. This guy brewed actually. The name of the beer is By Day. It's a 2%. It's inspired by a British mild. It says the nutty beer is nuanced with toffee, chocolate, and dark fruit, and packaged in a 12-ounce can. That's perfect for pounding without dulling wits. That's the line. So it's not an IPA. They mentioned. I guess maybe they're going to brew a 2% IPA, but that's what was teased in the beginning of the article. But what they actually brewed was a 2% beer inspired by a British mild. So not calling it a British mild. That's what it turned out to be inspired by. So anyway, wanted to address that. Anyway,
and that's even low, pretty low for
for mild.
A mild, yeah.
It's a British milder.
Right.
Yeah, it's a mild. So anyway, yeah, and then something else that just popped in. It's not necessarily beer related, but want your take on it. Everybody knows there's been several articles that I've seen on this, and this relates to what to do after drinking beer. That's my point. There was an article.
Pee a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I saw about three of these posted, and it was regarding the 24-hour diner. Obviously, none of the 24-hour diners are 24 hours right now anywhere, and the consensus seems to be that they won't come back. Diners will, but the 24 hours will not come back. They'll close at a certain point.
Even in Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, the article was Jersey-centric, so if they're going to do it in Jersey, obviously it's everywhere else too. So, yeah.
That's blasphemy.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine not having a diner to go to at 2 a.m?
And get your disco fries?
Yeah, absolutely. Where the hell? Yeah, the disco fries, they might as well take it off the menu because nobody orders it at 3 p.m.
No one orders those sober. Disco fries. Do you guys get disco fries in Rhode Island? I've not been to a diner in Rhode Island. It's just basically French fries with, was it mozzarella cheese and gravy?
And brown gravy, yeah.
So no, we don't have disco fry. The diner culture in Rhode Island is certainly far behind Jersey. We have a few diners, but maybe
Patriot
two.
near you?
Patriot, Haven Brothers in downtown Providence.
Well, that's a whole different story. That thing rolls. It's on wheels.
It's yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the diners in Jersey used to be on wheels too. I mean, they were movable.
And they just ran out of gas.
And they ran out of gas. That's where they
someone jacked them up and stole their tires, right?
Exactly. But yeah, no, that's 24-hour diners. I mean, there's more. There are so many 24-hour diners in Jersey. I hope it doesn't. I mean, it's all speculation at this point, but I can't see it happening like that. That's a
culture.
That would be horrible. That would absolutely be horrible. But disco fries. Side note on disco fries. You can get it mozzarella. You can get it with American cheese too. Mozzarella is the go-to, the original, if you will, with the brown gravy on the French fries. My cousin actually self-proclaims himself as the man who coined the phrase disco fries back in '85 at the Pompton Queen Diner on Route 23. I
know the Pompton Queen very well. That was
He says he coined the phrase there in 1985, and it stuck. So I mean, who's going to prove him wrong?
Can't gainsay him. But basically, disco fries are what they're kind of like Jersey's version, cheap ass version of poutine.
It's a 3 o'clock in the morning cheap version of poutine. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, all right. So why don't we move on to new breweries? I know you have something you want to talk about.
Yes, and that goes. Now I can open my second beer because Moniker opened today for can sales. Moniker is down off of West Fountain. They are by Bayberry Beer Hall and right across from Beer on Earth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now you've got this it already was a beer destination right there between Bayberry and Beer on Earth, but now you've got Moniker across the way. So I figured I'd have to start off with their debut single.
There you go.
Right, and their debut single here. This is a cream ale. And we're going to go that, and I'm going to add it. I'm going to pour this into my new favorite glass. And I picked this up standing online and ran into Luann, who I've known online for a little bit. Can you see Einstein on there? You can't. There he is.
I see him. Yeah.
Sort of. I've got a glare off the Christmas lights.
It looks like a cream ale.
It is a cream ale.
Does it taste like a cream ale?
It tastes like a cream ale.
Look at that.
It tastes like a nice, crisp, clean cream ale.
There you go.
I mean, right out of the chute, this is nice.
Very nice.
I got to hand it to them. I'll be going back. Picked up their other beer while I was there. Begins with a D. It's their IPA. So that may make a showing on the show. Maybe next week. At some point.
So
so they open today. There'll be I know they've got next week. It might be the soft opening, and then maybe after Christmas, I think their the tap room will be open if allowed. We'll see if the pause continues, if the pause becomes more than a pause up here. It really depends on how people behave themselves, which right now we lead the nation in cases per capita, right? Yay,
yes,
number one. No, yay, number one.
That's not the number one you want, though.
That is not the number one.
It is definitely not.
And Thanksgiving creamed us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely creamed the state. I mean, it creamed a lot of other states, but I think Rhode Island had been good for so long, and I think everyone just snapped.
Yeah, well, it's cold comfort, but if it makes you feel any better, in the tri-state area down here, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, New Jersey leads between the three of them. So
Yeah, I could tell you that my sister's a nurse down there, and she says the ICUs are getting full.
that's crazy. Your sister's a nurse down here?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Where?
What hospital?
Not like 3 miles away from me, is it?
Yeah, probably not 3 miles away from you. I think she's in Jersey Shore Medical Center.
Yes, she is. It's 3 miles away from me. If that, actually, maybe a little closer. Anyway, yep. So it's really horrible. You know what? It's got to be Thanksgiving. There's so many cases popping up, and a few people that I know, they actually had a little bit of a scare. They all went out and got tested, and they're fine. So,
but
who knows? Just keep wearing a mask and practice the distancing and stay home when you can. I mean, you guys are on pause up there. I know, obviously, New York City's on a little bit of a.
They shut down, didn't they?
Shut down. Pennsylvania's shut down. Jersey did not shut down yet. So it's still where it's been at this point. I talked to Harry Lugnuts on our sports podcast. Denver is on lockdown. Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's the whole state of Colorado. It's just Denver, but they're on lockdown too.
Well, so hopefully we don't go on lockdown before Monica can get their tap room open. Manage to peek through the windows. They've got some beautiful reclaimed wood. It's the backdrop to their bar, and also the seating area. It's gonna be gorgeous once they clean out everything that's in the tap room right now, and hide that away a little bit and allow people in. And also speaking of new, Tilted opened up their new facility.
Did they open up?
Yeah, it's opened up. A bunch of people I know have been there, seen the pictures from it. It's absolutely beautiful. And, our worry was always that, Tilted had that, that feel of the Tilted barn, this thing that, you put too many people in it, the thing's going to fall over.
When I was in it, I thought it was just me and Jess and like 3 other people, and I thought it was going to fall over.
Yeah, and they've packed that thing to the gills in the past. So we're worried.
That was 3.5 years ago.
But they've got this new facility, and it's like, how are you going to get that warmth? How are you going to get that rustic feel that they had? And I think they've managed it. I've got to get there myself and really feel it. But considering it's just me, and you have to have a reservation for 2 at least,
right.
I can't make a reservation for 1. So you need to come up and so I can make a reservation for 2.
I will make sure. Just as soon as the numbers drop and I feel safe to come up, I will definitely take a ride up. And, I've been saying that for the last 8 months too. But
you have. So I know Sean's ready to crack open his next can. It's not exactly a can.
Sean, you crack it open. I will throw up on the screen what it is. It is I think you got a crowler there, don't you?
So we do have a crowler. Yep. So we don't have full can facilities. Just don't have any space in the brewery. But we do for each beer that we brew, we do a block of 32-ounce crowlers off of the bright tank for sale. And what I'm going to be drinking is the Lops Light Lager. So this is the answer when anybody comes in and says, "What's the lightest beer that you have?" It's Lops Light.
We don't have a 2%er, but we've got Lops Light.
We've got Lops Light. For 4.5, we'll do the trick.
Lops Light. There we go. While you're pouring that, I'm going to mention one other thing too. We're talking about the new breweries. It's not open yet. We'll report on it as it goes. But they just announced today. They broke ground not too long ago, last week I believe, in Reddington, New Jersey. There's a a hop farm, and it's the Reddington Hop Farm. They're actually opening a brewery on the site. It's the if I remember from what I read from the article, I quickly glanced through it. It's the biggest hop farm in Jersey. And
not saying a lot.
That's not saying a lot because New Jersey's really not known for hop farms, but
because we got a great terroir for hops, don't we?
We got a great terroir for hops, absolutely. Didn't we talk about that?
Yes,
hops from Jersey taste like pork roll. Yeah.
Tastes like pork roll.
Tastes like pork roll. But in any event, Yeah, so they're planning a May of next year, May of 21 opening. The rendering looks good. I'll post this article as well on the Lager Room Facebook page. But it's exciting to look at. I mean, just from the looks at it, they're, you can't get much fresher than that.
Following the Paddle Breaker business model.
Out in Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, it was Yakima Valley.
Yakima Valley, absolutely. So anyway, Lops Light Lager. Speak to us. There it is, right there. 4%.
What should we expect out of this?
4.5%. Really, what you're looking at is just really light, really crisp. What you're thinking of is what's out there in the large domestic market.
Right.
The Budweiser, the Coors. And what we're trying to do is...
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You don't have to say it again, but I couldn't hear you.
So what we're trying to do is make sure that everybody's represented. There's
Gotcha.
certainly people that are coming into the brewery that haven't had craft beer before, or they're coming in with a group that is familiar and enjoys craft beer, but they aren't there yet. And what we want to do is provide them with an option, and then talk to them about what the gateway from this Lops Light Lager is into, the Munich Dunkel, or into something else that provides a little more flavor.
Let them drink that first, and then give them a Doppelbock.
There you go. Right.
Straight to it. That's it. So,
but even if it's funny, because craft lagers are no longer so much a gateway anymore as where a lot of the breweries are heading towards, just because people are starting to, I think, tire of IPAs, tire of stouts, and they want to get back to that, but they want them well made. So we're getting craft lagers.
Exactly, and
sure.
In the brewing community, nobody really cares about your IPA. They want to know about the lager, and the easiest way to kind of get into the club is make a really good lager, because that shows the craft. Obviously making a really good IPA is hard, but making a really good lager is a different animal.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd have to say that probably, as far as people I know, the top drinkers of craft lagers are the brewers and brewery owners.
Absolutely.
That is 100%,
because they're the ones that are hanging out with everybody else and getting everybody to drink their beer and so forth and so on, and they don't want to, and they want something that's gonna, they're gonna be able to last all day while they're talking to a lot of different people. Absolutely.
And so I was talking to another couple of brewers actually yesterday, and the conversation was around lagers, and it was around that it's very difficult to dabble in the lager world,
Gotcha.
just because of tying up the tanks for that amount of time, and also the difficulty with the temperature control, and so that's why a lot of places don't have a lager available, or they do a Oktoberfest and kind of be done with it. So in 2020, we did 6 lager variants, and hopefully for 2021 we'll expand on that.
You know what I mean? You brew a good lager, and there's so many different there's so many different lagers that can be brewed. I'm a huge lager guy, but you know what? I'm a huge hophead too. So I mean, just I'll cover the gamut there. But I just want to throw this at you really quick, just as a funny little story. You talked about nobody cares about the IPAs or whatever, but a lot of the ones buying the 4-packs, as far as the New England's go and everything else, I'm not sure that they care about the IPA either, because it depends on what they're actually drinking. Funny little story, and I've said it before on the show. I was at a brewery. I won't say the brewery, not that it matters anyway, but I won't. And I was sitting there talking to the bartender, and two 20-something, early 20-somethings walk in, 2 guys. One had obviously been to the brewery before, and one, this was his first time. So the one that was there before, they walk in together, he orders his beer, and he walks away. And the other one's standing there, and he's looking at all. There was 24 selections, and there's probably a dozen IPAs on the board. And he says, and he's looking, the bartender walks over to him and says, "Can I help you make a decision?" He says, "Well, yeah, I guess you can. He says, what kind of style you like? He says, oh, I'm a big IPA guy. I love IPAs. He says, all right, well, I have 12 different IPAs. He says, I'll tell you what, I'll let you taste a couple of them first. So he walks over and he pours their house IPA, the standard, flagship IPA. Boom, he takes a sip of it, and he almost does a spit take. He's like, oh my God, what are you giving me here? This is so bitter, it's ridiculous. He says, I thought you said you liked IPAs. No, you like orange juice.
Yeah.
Right. So, but
the most polarizing beer that we had this year is we did a black IPA.
Okay.
I missed that.
That was probably that was we'll have it again shortly, but it's probably about 70 IBUs, but it looks like a porter, and it has that roasty aroma. So it's a little confusing when you get it and you smell it, and then when you taste it, it's a nice bitter bomb.
Nice.
And so after the first day of pouring it, everybody that ordered it, I had to give the disclaimer and had to describe, okay, here's what it is. Do you want it?
Sure, exactly. All right, I'm going to pour my second one, by the way. While we're waiting here before I figured I was looking for something other than another New England because I have plenty of them in my fridge right now, and most of them say source on them, but there's some others as well.
And your cellar.
And my cellar, yeah. Hi. Okay, thanks, Gene.
Inside joke, yes.
Anyway, but because of the storm coming up, I opted to go. It's a brown lager from Jersey Girl. Chuck from Jersey Girl was just on. It's hunkered down brown.
Hunkered down.
So I figured that would be perfect for the the snowstorm out of. So yeah, it's a let me put it up on the screen here. There we go. It's a 4% American brown lager. So, I'm just
I've never heard of a brown lager.
Well, they made a brown lager. So, they made a brown ale and put lager yeast in it.
There we go.
And let it sit for 4 weeks instead of 2. There you go.
Isn't that Helles?
Geez, that's dark.
So that's not brown.
That's not what I was expecting.
I could put a light behind it. You could see it's a little lighter than it looks right there. Not much, a little bit. So, very tasty. Oh, definitely something to hunker down with. Nice malty toffee. Good brown. We actually have a couple of. Now Brian said, it's called your show is called the Lager Room. So yes, for sure.
He gets on us all the time when we don't drink a lager.
Absolutely. And Susan Rowley said the black IPA sounds yummy. She said.
Well, Susan, if you are in the Rhode Island area, we can certainly hook you up with a 32-ounce crowler of the black IPA.
Yeah, she kind of lives over there. And she's in Providence.
There you go.
That is a long way from Woonsocket.
Yeah.
Well, she's originally from
15 minutes.
She's originally from Jersey, so she actually does move around. She's not.
There you go. All right, folks. Well, while we're drinking our second beers, why don't we move on to our 33s of this week?
Oh man! And Sean came up with the 33 topic.
Absolutely.
And this was one I'm not sure. Maybe eventually you and I would have gotten around to this if we'd run out.
We probably would have.
But this is a brilliant topic, and I love this topic.
I'll go back on it. We may have. But
this is a brilliant topic. Sean, do the honors. Introduce it.
Yes.
So what I'm always interested in is when beer is introduced into a movie, whether it be that a group of friends drinking, whether it be just a fleeting glance at product placement of which beer is being served at the bar. It's always curious to me how beer is being used. Sometimes it's the focal point, sometimes it's the background. So I thought it made sense, being the Lager Room podcast, to do a top 3 on beer placement in cinema.
Which works very well because anybody who knows John and I and have watched the show, every now and then we slip in movie references.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not every now. We do it a lot. We
A
haven't
lot.
done it yet today, but
Today,
we
yeah.
do it. We do it quite often. So this is a great topic for us because we are movie buffs. But it still
Absolutely.
became a difficult one for us.
It's a little difficult, but we were able to come up with a bunch of them.
And I think what we should do in this one is rather than use our normal format is one person gives all three. Why don't we round robin it? Because I guarantee you, we've got some shared.
Definitely
Yes.
shared ones. So should I start?
You go ahead and start, John.
Okay. So it's top 3 favorite beer placement in cinema. Beer in cinema.
Beer and
All right. Okay. Well, my number 3 has to be the time my buddies and I, when we were 15, snuck Jenny Cream into. Oh no, that's not what we're talking
No,
about.
that's
Sorry, had to say that. All right.
nah.
Why don't we let Sean? I had to make that joke. Why don't we let Sean go first? Since it was his...
He's been practicing that joke for about an hour now.
So, go ahead, Sean. You go first.
So I'm not sure if we count down or count up, but
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you just
I'm
The
gonna
thing
leave-
is, if you don't want someone to take your best, you probably want to count, up.
up.
I'm leading with the number one. I mean,
There you go. Go for it.
being in Rhode
Rhode
Island,
Island, I know what it is. You took one of mine. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right.
it's obviously Jaws.
Uh-huh.
Crush
And
it like Quint.
It's got to be Quint
Yeah.
crushing the Gansett and staring dead-eyed right into the camera. It
Mhm.
is really pretty epic, and it's the
Absolutely.
1975. So it's the pull tab. Gansets that the old man used to drink, and it is wonderful. And following up that with Hooper crushing his Dixie cup. So it's really the best of what beer could be in cinema.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had that as well. Quint crushes a Ganny.
Yeah.
So, Gad, you want to do yours?
Yeah.
Go
Okay. So I'll go with what was the second on my list then,
ahead.
because that is one of the most epic moments in beer,
Mhm.
on the big screen. I'm going to go a lot more recent and go into the Marvel Cinematic Universe here,
Okay.
because this was just such an obvious product placement because the producers of the movie are apparently big fans of Creature Comfort. And Thor, Fat Thor,
That's
sitting there crushing Creature Comfort's beers through that. So the placement was great, but my favorite part of that scene was that they were trying to talk him into leaving. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to sit there. He wants to drink his beer, play his games. And they're like, "We've got beer on the ship." And Thor looks at him and goes, "What kind?" It is such a beer nerd question right there.
That's
What
great.
kind?
That's great.
Oh, so that was right
was
near
yours.
one of the top. Yeah, that was right near the top.
So that'll become your number 1 right now. So.
Well, it becomes my number one now. Yes.
All right, okay, gotcha. All right, my number 1 is Blues Brothers. The bottles crashing against the cage while they were playing Rawhide. That was such a great scene and such a great movie. It really was. So that became my number 1. It's my number 2. Quint was my number 1. So there you go. That's my number 1. That was a great scene. Anyway, Sean, number 2. Your number 2.
So next up, next up has got to be Will Ferrell in Old School.
The funnel.
And the funneling, the unleashing Frank the Tank,
Oh yeah.
it's so good. It's just the whole lead up to it. The nice little afternoon at Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot. It's really just a wonderful setup, and the payoff of Will Ferrell streaking after is just
We're going
the icing on the cake.
Oh, you're my boy, Blue.
That's great. There, you're my boy, Blue. Anyway, all right. Dave, you're number 2.
My number 2, I'm going to get a little more sublime here, because it's really there's a scene from a movie, a very, very serious movie, but this just nice, lighthearted, take a break from everything kind of scene, and it's Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name, but he talks the guards into allowing Andy Dufresne. Andy talks them into allowing them to be on the roof. Them and the guards are drinking Strohs. right? They're kicking it old school up there.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just that moment of taking a break from it all.
Yep.
That whole Miller time kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But it's even in more extreme circumstances. These guys are in prison, and they're in prison, possibly for their lives.
Sure.
And they're having this moment on the roof with the guards drinking the Strohs, and that was a great moment. I really enjoyed that moment of the movie.
Definitely good. It's on my extras list, if you will. Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies. Such a great scene in it too. My number 2 is definitely going to be Animal House. Absolutely. Actually, 2 scenes in that. I'll give you 2 scenes. Two for one in that one. Bluto crushing the can on his head, and Pinto falling out of the car with all the cans after they get back from the road trip. There you go. So that's mine. And your next one.
So I got I guess a couple to choose from. I'm gonna go with back to old school. I'm gonna go Bad News Bears.
Okay.
Yes.
The original one, not the remake nonsense.
No, the original one.
The original one with good old Buttermaker drinking his Budweisers while coaching the Bears. Good old sponsored by Chico's Bail Bonds. Just a perfect snippet of 70s into 80s that pretty much anything goes, and
absolutely
there's no worries about the coach drinking beer on the sidelines.
Absolutely. And Brian actually put this up a couple minutes ago, but I didn't put it up, just waiting in anticipation of that. He said, Bad News Bears, kids drinking beer, what could be better? I remember being a kid watching that and saying, wow, the kids got to drink beer on the set of that movie. So there you go. That's awesome. Dave?
Well, I've got to go with actually kind of a made-up beer, but it's one of my favorite scenes in any movie where they've been sitting and drinking beer.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I thought I would have to cheat and go to television. And I did look this up. The number one fake beer in television is Heisler.
Heisler.
So many shows have used a beer called Heisler.
Yep.
Because I thought I was going to cheat.
And it's a green bottle, right?
And it changes a little bit, but it's got this great logo across. Yeah, I think it's got like red letters.
Oh, yeah, I think I know. Yeah, you're
right. But in the TV shows, one of my favorite placements was always Old Dominion Stout on NCIS. That's what they were always drinking.
There you go.
That I love. But this is about movies, so I'm going with a fake beer, and it's Phelan's Irish.
Phelan's Irish.
Extra credit if you know what movie that's from.
I know it. I just can't place it.
It's what they were drinking when they got shit-faced drunk on Boondock Saints.
Oh, jeez.
And he hits the table, the gun goes off, splatters the cat,
everywhere.
And then that fantastic line, you think he's dead?
That's great.
So, yeah, that is... they were also drinking whiskey. It's whiskey and beer because the two go hand in hand, right? But that's one of my favorite scenes in that movie. No offense to the cat lovers out there, but you gotta admit that was funny.
That was definitely funny. I'm gonna go for my third. I'm gonna go a little odd because it really wasn't so much the beer itself, but it was the bottles. Okay, in Warriors.
Oh yeah, Warriors come out and
clinking
play.
The bottles together. Come out and play.
I thought they were Coke bottles. I thought they were Coke
beer
bottles.
They were beer bottles.
And you know what? Congratulations to all three of us for not cheating and going to Beer Fest at some point in this.
Yeah, right. I would like to give a special mention because of all the ones on my list. We mentioned them all between us. To none of us mentioned Smoking the Bandit.
That beer we don't really talk about too much.
We don't, but which
Sean
did
say on the show.
Yeah, no, it's not that. But I do want to make mention of the one of the most iconic moments, I think, beer wise, but it's not cinema, it's television. Laverne and Shirley, that glove going down the bottling line at the Schatz Brewery.
Yes,
absolutely.
Which Wayne's World recreated, did they not?
Yes, they did. Wayne's World recreated the same thing.
I do have a question for you guys. Actually, this is more for Sean, because in Beer Fest, where they, the mannequin breaks, the puppet breaks open,
Mm-hmm.
They get the recipe, they brew the beer. Then you have that reveal moment where they crack open the bottle and they take their first sips. Why would they wait to bottle it to taste it? Would you not taste it? Would you, as a brewery owner, not take it right off the bright tank to figure out what it tastes like?
So you would have been testing it every day.
Yeah.
And then and then you absolutely would be pouring it right from the bright tank.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
Absolutely.
Because when I saw that scene, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this movie. No movie has ever so shamelessly replaced a character that was killed with the same exact character.
Right.
So beautifully as that movie did it.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene always made me go, that makes no sense to me.
That's pretty funny.
It's never going to be a surprise what it tastes like in the bottle.
No. Unless it's bottle conditioned. And this was a German lager that they brewed. So you don't bottle condition a German lager.
You do not bottle condition a German lager. You don't. So anyway, this has been great. I definitely want to thank Sean for coming on with us today. It was definitely an awesome time.
No, I had a great time. I'd love to be back sometime in the future.
Absolutely, love to have you back. Definitely. Don't go anywhere because we're going to talk after we sign off. But I just want to thank everybody for watching today. For those of you listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday at 5:30. And for those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Thanks for Sean coming on with us. It was a great show today. Thanks for the suggestion with the beer and cinemas. That was definitely a fun segment.
Oh, that was great.
Absolutely.
Love doing that. Beers look great. Can't wait to try my marshmallow stout whenever it may arrive.
It'll get there. The eagle will land eventually.
The eagle will land eventually. So everybody have a great weekend. Drink a lot of beer, drink responsibly, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys.
And
cheers.
be safe out in that snow.
Absolutely. Be safe. Cheers.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rug. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck. This little guy